Hi, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever in the world you may be. Welcome to today's practice. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button to support the page and spread the good vibes. That would be deeply appreciated. We are going to walk through a really fun transition today from a handstand into Bakasana, crow pose. Now, these arm balances, transitions, really require the ability to push the ground away as well as build a sense of active compression. So before you attempt this tutorial, please make sure that your body is nice and warmed up. And we're just going to build more onto that compression by coming into a straddle position. Now in the straddle position, you want to make sure that your heels are firmly on the ground and try to point out through the feet. Your feet do not have to be this wide. They could even be in this position if that is more accessible to you. So inhale to reach your arms up. And on your exhale, you're going to hinge from the hips as you fold all the way down and just melt your chest and heart down. You could even slide a bolster underneath your forehead or a block. We're just going to hold this for 30 seconds. Adjust yourself and modify as needed. And building this compression is going to translate throughout all of your arm balance transitions and your handstand practice. Keep pointing out through the toes, stay active in the inner thighs. Then on your next inhale, just slowly come right out of it. Just go at your own pace. We'll meet in downward facing dog. And for the purpose of this practice, I like to enter Bakasana through the tuck handstand. And the tuck handstand is really great because it teaches you the balance and the control needed to balance on your hands. And one thing to remember, as with all arm balances or handstand to arm balances transitions, it requires the shift of your gaze forward and being able to lean your chest forward as your hips go back to be aligned with your shoulders. Now, it might seem a little scary to shift the chest forward as the hips go back, but in time, you will learn how to be comfortable with that fearful state. And that's when the yoga comes in. So from downward facing dog, come into an active stance. Keep your legs bent. We want to maintain this active compression, keeping the legs bent close to the chest. Hinge from the hips. Begin to elevate your shoulders towards your ears. Stay strong into the arms. Grip the ground with your fingertips. From here, we are going to jump into a tuck handstand shape. Inhale to lift the heels, bend the legs. Exhale, find your tuck handstand shape. Keep squeezing your feet towards your glutes, pushing the ground away. Now, begin to bend your arms, begin to look forward, sending your chest forward. Land the knees closer to your elbows. Keep squeezing the feet towards your glutes. Look forward. Keep rounding out from the shoulders. Think cat pose. And then whenever you're ready, just come out of it and release. Roll out your wrists. Now, this could be a lot on the wrist flexors. And one of the most important aspects of any kind of transitions or any kind of hand balancing or arm balancing is to focus on strengthening the wrist flexors. Because we're using the arms as shelves, it's going to put a lot of load onto these wrists. And the wrists are very delicate and vulnerable joints because there's a lot going on in the wrists. So I have added a link to the description box below as to how to strengthen your wrist flexors because it is so crucial in all of your yoga asana practices to spend a couple of minutes before you go into flow to really get the wrists warmed up and strengthened. And a good way to really practice adding more motion and range of motion into the wrist flexors is to come into a tabletop position and then lift your palms up, pressing your fingertips onto the earth. Lower down your palms with control. Exhale, lift, push. Lower down with control. If you want to make this more challenging for you, you're going to shift the shoulders over the wrists, then lift up and lower. You really want to push the ground away with those fingertips. And again, we want to focus on building the foundations. And the foundations for our handstands and for our arm balances are the wrist flexors. It's not natural, to say the least, to be balancing on our hands because we live our lives balancing on our feet. So in this sense, you want to think of your hands as playing the role of your feet. So if you are shifting too far forward, your toes are going to push the ground away to prevent you from falling over on your face. And then if you shift too far back, it's going to be your heels that prevents you from going back. And what's really important in this transition is the gaze shift. So the gaze shift is going to take place sooner than you expect, and bending the arms sooner than you think. That's going to set you up to be able to move your chest and heart forward as your hips go back. If you have any questions or if you'd like to share some insights along your journey, please share them below. I would love to hear from you. And let me know if you have any more questions regarding this really fun transition. And if you want to practice this transition some more, another great way to practice it is from downward facing dog, coming into that tuck handstand position. And you don't necessarily have to land your legs into the shelf, but begin to move the gaze, bend the arms forward, and then land your legs to the outside of your arms for that modification. One of the greatest benefits of practicing this transition, and you normally go into this transition if you're playing throughout your vinyasa practice, then you would go back into chaturanga, but focusing on slowing down as you land. So this is called the negatives. And the negatives are so beneficial because what goes down will come up with ease. So for example, if you are trying to build your press handstand techniques from Bakasana into handstand, what's essential is to train the muscles to go down as slowly with control. And that's coming from the push of the wrist flexors and your shoulders. Think cat pose for all of your arm balances. The rounder this thoracic spine is, the more solid your foundation is. And what we're focused on is building up those foundations, because those foundations are going to translate into so many different areas of your yoga asana practice. Again, if you have any more questions, please drop them below in the comment box. I also am including my routine to strengthen the wrist flexors. And I hope you had fun doing this. And this transition is going to take time, so don't feel discouraged ever. Take the time to laugh at yourself. And I highly recommend filming yourself along your journey, because it's important for you to see and identify the areas that need some focus and improvement. Because we're all different on a bio-individual level, it's important to understand those differences to build up into our strengths. And at the end of the day, the greatest teacher is the teacher of yourself and your experiences. And no one knows your body the way you know your body. So don't try to over-push yourself. Be honest and not critical, and be able to celebrate the little wins or register those little wins as you go along in your journey. It was beautiful to share this practice with you. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you.